The roller coaster ride continues across the NFL. We're reacting to Week 7 today on the Locked On NFL Scouting Podcast.
You are Locked On NFL Scouting with the Draft Dudes, your daily podcast for NFL and college football scouting. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's better than this? It's guys being dudes here on the Locked On NFL Scouting Podcast. We're the Draft Dudes. I'm Joe Marino from Locked On Bills. He's Kyle Krabs from Locked On Dolphins. And we are your NFL experts here with you daily to talk team building across the league on the Locked On NFL Scouting Podcast with the Draft Dudes, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I'd like to thank you for making Locked On NFL Scouting your first listen every day, and a big welcome and shout out to our everydayers. You know who you are. Those of you who never miss a single episode, we appreciate y'all being here very, very much. This episode is brought to you by FanDuel Sportsbook, official sportsbook of Locked On. Make every moment more. Right now, new customers can bet $5 and get $200 in bonus bets guaranteed. Visit FanDuel.com/LockedOn to get started.
Joe, happy National, I guess it's yesterday was the day.
Mm-hmm.
Kyle realizes nobody accepts cash anymore day.
So wait a second.
Yeah.
Did you come with a big wad of cash and expecting that to go well for you?
Well, you're parking on site. I went to the game last night.
Yeah.
Went to Sunday Night Football, and it's a 50-minute drive up I-95, right? So I go. And you're parking on the athletic complex because they got Citizens Bank Ballpark. They got where the Sixers and the Flyers play, and they got the link all right there, right?
Yeah, seen this.
So, and I remember one time Joe Marino and I went to the ACC championship game, and we're trying to find parking.
Yeah, remember this well.
You pulled into a spot, and you did not have cash.
That's right.
And they said, "No, we don't have cash. Or we need cash.
Yeah, only cash."
And Joe said, "Can I Venmo you? Can I Zelle you? Can I
PayPal
you? Apple Pay?" And he said, "No, we only take cash." And moments like that stick with me. So my expectation is I'm going to have to pay cash to park. So I take a withdrawal at the ATM. I go, and it's $45 to park. So I go to pay. They say, "Oh, that card's been declined." I'm like, haha, here you go. And they said, "No, we only accept card." So okay, no problem. I have my debit card. Then I go into the stadium, order some food, try to pay in cash. Sorry.
You're just trying to get this cash out of your pocket, right?
Yeah, because now it's sitting here. It's like, dude, I just know I'm going to lose it because it's just sitting in my pocket. I'm wearing Dolphins stuff, so somebody's probably going to try and play a prank on me and stick an open ketchup packet in my pocket or something like that. And they're going to say, "Oh, my God, he's got two $20 bills in here because he was trying to pay cash to park." And I just could not get rid of this cash. So nobody accepts cash anymore.
How was your experience? I know that late night you're here. I'm happy that you're here, but how are you feeling? What's it like going to Philadelphia as a visiting fan?
I mean, I did it in 2015.
Stakes felt pretty high in this one, though, right? Maybe a little bit of tension out there.
That was one of the videos. I only took a handful of videos throughout the game, and the one that I took was the pregame when they introduced both the teams, and it felt like big game atmosphere.
Yeah.
And, obviously it's a 1-score game. The Dolphins have a chance to tie with 10 minutes left. You get an underthrow for a turnover, and then the Eagles milk clock, go 13 plays, 2 4th-down conversions, and break your back with about 5 minutes left. So competitive game. I think probably a game that didn't necessarily go to the script that a lot of people thought.
Right.
But you could tell it was a big game environment, and the 2 press conferences that the Dolphins had after the game with Tua and Mike McDaniel, they talked about this is a playoff atmosphere against like a really, really good football team. So it was the stadium was pretty electric. It was a fun time to go to see a good competitive football game.
You didn't get punched or anything? You're good? Nothing?
No.
Okay, good.
No.
All right.
No, I had a few people yell at me and stuff. I only yelled back to one guy.
All right, that's good.
He said you couldn't get any more gel in that hair if you try. I turned around and looked at him. I'm like, dude, you don't even have any hair. Shut up.
But do you even have gel in your hair? I mean,
I had gelled it because it was really windy.
Oh, okay. All
It's
right.
like, don't tell me that you don't like how much gel I have in my hair when you're sitting there with a Friar Tuck haircut. I
Yeah.
don't want to hear it from you.
Friar Tuck.
Don't say anything
What
to
a
me.
pull. What a pull.
Don't say anything to me.
Friar Tuck reference here in the first segment of Lockdown NFL Scouting today. All right. Well, there's that. Do you want to do the rundown?
Games?
Yeah, there were games played, only 13 of them.
Yeah.
So
and only 3 AFC exclusive games.
oh wow, this really
So-
works out.
so
Oh
I'll-
crap, another one of the AFC exclusive games. The Patriots beat the Bills.
Yeah, so no club dub for either one of us.
No,
It's been a while, feel like since that happened.
No, then we both had it last week, man. Bills beat
Miami won last week.
Get that. The Bills beat the Giants last week, but yeah, they let the Patriots get that offense going, baby. 29 points for Mac Jones, his first game-winning drive.
Yeah, so do you want to go there? I mean, do you want to introduce all the games? Do you have a big thought on that game that you want to?
I think the big thought is that I think it's fair to ask questions about what this Bills team is capable of after what they've shown you for the last 3 weeks. Slow starts offensively, it continues. A lot of offensive miscues, just not clean football, backing themselves up with ill-advised mistakes, whether it's a penalty or a drop pass or a missed read, missed assignment. Yeah, they're a sloppy team on offense, and defensively, I think they're trying, right? They have a ton of injuries on that side of the football, but I give them some grace, but allowing the Patriots to exceed so many of their statistical norms, what they've been through 6 games against you, is pretty disappointing. So yeah, I think it's fair to call into question, how good are the Bills? Are they a playoff contender, or are they a team that can make a playoff run, like a deep one? They're not showing us that right now. So this team has a lot to prove here over the last 9 games. For New England, I mean, you got to feel good about the win. You got to feel good about your offensive line kind of coming back together, being able to affect Josh Allen the way that you did without Judon, Uche, or Keon White, right? Your 3 top pass rushers off the edge. You're able to really win on the inside. Christian Barmore was an absolute nightmare for the Bills. And then, that corner tandem of Jackson and Jonathan Jones really met the moment. So do they have enough to really go on a run and make noise? Or were they in too deep of a hole? Probably. But at least for this game, you feel good about Scarnecchia going into your Hall of Fame, Belichick getting his 300th win, and playing the rest of the games and see what happens, right? Your expectations were low. So it's different, right? Your expectations are high for the Bills. You have a letdown game. The questions just come out differently. But the Jets are probably just chilling at home in their bye week, right? Just really thrilled about what happened in the AFC East. So making us eat our words or at least, I certainly have been critical of the Patriots, and now you got to chew on a nice loss here for the next week.
So it's obviously early, but the only team in the AFC East with a winning record in the division is the New England Patriots.
They're 2-1. They beat the Jets and the Bills. Yeah. That's right.
Yeah,
that's right.
The Jets and Dolphins are 1-1, and the Bills are 1-2.
What do I always say, Kyle? We'll play them all and see
what happens.
See what happens.
Other AFC games.
Unless you're the Chiefs. You've already won the AFC West. Congratulations.
Yeah, right. And that's. I was going to get into some of that with thought or not with a couple of these divisions. The Chiefs.
We could save it, but I thought that was a nice segue into our the only other AFC game, right?
Well, we had Browns and Colts was the other AFC exclusive. Barnburner, PJ Walker comes in off the bench. Myles Garrett goes Super Saiyan.
The Colts score 38 on
the Colts score
the
38.
Browns. I was a weaker. I knew a 30 burger was coming against that defense. I just, I for some reason I thought it was the 49ers and not the Colts that would do it.
Gardner Minshew. How about Josh Downs, 5'1", 125 and a tud?
Big game. Yeah, big game.
On the bingo card, I never in a million years would have had Colts 450 plus yards of offense, plus 50% on, or I guess just short of 50% on third downs. Still punt 5 times, still lose three turnovers, 4 turnovers, and still score 38 points.
They lost. Here's the thing. They lost the game, by a point. Yeah. And it's a little controversial there at the end, but
but good teams win, great teams cover. Colts covered 2.5.
All right.
So they might have lost the battle, but they won the war.
And then the Chiefs are 6-1. So whatever you want to think about, the Chiefs are 6-1. Big offensive explosion. Mahomes, Kelsey. It's their world. We're all living in it, right?
I've got some thoughts in that game, but it has nothing to do with the Chiefs because they're just going to be turnkey. They're going to continue to roll. Who they have next week? The Broncos, and then they're Dolphins in Germany, and then they have bye. And then they play Eagles on Monday Night Football in Week 11.
Couple big ones in there.
Dolphins can't win the ones against competitive teams, so they'll be good in Week 9. That's what I've been told.
Hopefully the Patriots didn't wake up for you. We'll get into more. We got the NFC. We got Thought or Not all coming up here. Stick with us. Our partners at eBay Motors have teamed up with Locked On Fantasy Football host Vinny Iyer to bring you some of the best fantasy picks each week all season long. So whether you're prepping for a daily draft or scouting the waiver wire, every week we're going to provide you with players that are guaranteed to fit on your roster. So let's see who Vinny has picked out for us on this week's eBay's Guaranteed Fit Fantasy Picks of the Week. Jets wide receiver Garrett Wilson will come off a bye and build on his momentum with an improved Zach Wilson to have a big game against the Giants in Week 8. Start spreading the news in this New York battle. The Giants secondary cannot cover him well, and it has already given up big games to Deebo Samuel, Tyreek Hill, and Stephon Diggs. Garrett Wilson is a great talent, and the Jets are now back to using him as a dominant number one. Look for him to keep coming through with his best all-around game yet in fantasy in 2023. Vinny Iyer from Locked On Fantasy Football is going to help you win your fantasy championship, and eBay Motors knows that a championship team is about each player being a perfect fit. Same with your vehicle. With over 122 million parts for your number one ride or die, you can make sure your ride stays running smoothly. Brake kits, LED headlights, roof rack, bumpers, whatever your baby needs, eBay Motors has it. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, it's guaranteed to fit your ride the first time, every time, or your money back. Plus, at these prices, you're burning rubber and not cash. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. eBay Guaranteed Fit only available to U.S. customers. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply.
So was that a little Sinatra reference there?
Yeah, I felt it, though. I thought I delivered that pretty good. Stop. There it is. Mm-hmm. When do you think of that? I think about that. Was it Santa Claus 3? Jack Frost?
Mm-mm.
North Pole.
I think about the New York Yankees.
You do?
Yeah.
No.
Ever been to Yankee Stadium? New or old Yankee Stadium?
No.
Have you ever been to New York?
Yes.
Yeah. Like New York City?
Yeah.
How long ago?
It's been a while. Not long. It was, man, I must have been in middle school.
A Stained reference.
Yeah. It's the second one. I think you missed the first one there, but yeah, we're killing it here. Only MLB parks I've been to are Nationals Park. You got the Natitude going there, and SunTrust, the Braves, and Turner Field. So yeah, the new one's nice. Yeah, very nice.
NFC games. Should I introduce all the overlap games? I guess I probably should, right?
Yeah.
All right. So NFC exclusive games. You had the Falcons defeating the Bucks in Tampa Bay. Game-winning field goal as time expired, I believe, was how that one unfolded. A lot of red zone turnovers.
Bijan not feeling himself. Only had one.
Yeah, what a weird.
It's the NFL, brother. That's a weird situation, dude. Weird.
Yeah. Just not feeling well.
You can either go or you can't, right?
Okay. I guess that's the problem. They've got like 5 competent backs.
They won the game. They're winners. Desmond Ridder, right. Very efficient game.
They do not care about your fantasy team.
Nope.
As somebody who invested a lot in Bijan Robinson, I was a little upset to find out he only played one snap.
Oh man, I never thought about that. So you here he is. He's active.
Yep.
And Algier gets 21 carries. I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
Jesus, man.
Yeah.
And if you're not paying attention, you're probably like, well, did he get hurt? No, he just wasn't feeling.
No,
himself.
He just wasn't feeling good.
Yeah.
Okay. The Commanders lost to the Tyrod Taylor-led New York Giants, 14-7.
Brother. We'll save it for thought or not, but I have a big Giants thought or not coming up here in the last segment.
Has come alive the last 2 weeks.
The Bills say, you're welcome. Glad we can give you some confidence.
You're welcome. The Seahawks defeated the Cardinals by a score of 20-10.
A forgotten game of the week. That's what I call this one.
Yeah, this was the chalk experience.
Yeah.
You have tonight San Francisco at Minnesota. What a barn burner for.
Hey, I need 10 from the 49ers defense to win my fantasy matchup. I know nobody cares about it, but
yeah, no, we do not care. You're right.
Not at all. Yeah.
We mentioned Baltimore waxing Detroit. already? Or did we mention
Did we? No, we talked about that in the pre-show.
Yeah, that's what we get for doing a 20-minute pre-show.
Yep.
The Bears beat the Raiders 30-12 with Tyson Bagent 0. Coming up big in his first start.
Big dubs.
The Steelers beat the Rams in Los Angeles 24-17.
Got hosed. And the Rams got hosed. I don't know. Did you see the
Yes, I did.
That quarterback sneak wasn't. He didn't get it.
I don't want to talk about quarterback sneaks.
Jeez. It's so impactful. That's the thing about it. It is so impactful. Every game I watch the Eagles, it happens like 4 or 5 times.
They were 4 for 4. 4 for 4.
And there's nothing you can do. You know it's coming, and it doesn't matter. I think it has something to do with they get him up in the air, man. Jalen's up in the air, and then it's just like he's floating.
Yeah. A lot of leverage involved. Speaking of, the Eagles defeated the Dolphins by a final score of 31-17. And the Broncos, coming off of their mini bye, defeated the Packers, who were coming off their actual bye, by a final score of 19-17. That was the most especially fun result for me because we all picked the Broncos straight up, and the show picked the Broncos against the spread, and the spread was 1.5.
Wow. We had weird feelings about that game too, right? I remember that conversation. Yeah. It's like, man, I guess the Broncos are going to win this game, and then they did.
They did.
And let's be honest, like the Packers, like God intervened a little bit there for the game to be as close as it was with that 4th down touchdown bouncing off Dobbs into Jaden Reed's hands. It's like, what is going on here?
Right.
But Broncos 2-5 avoided an 0-4 start at home.
Did they really?
Yeah, it would have been the first time in franchise history they did that. I remember that being a big storyline as I was watching the end of that game.
So from Green Bay's perspective, 17 points, colossally bad Broncos defense, and you scratch out 17.
That's got to be such a weird expectation because everybody saw the Dolphins score 70. You probably think you're going to play Denver and score, I don't know, 30, 40, maybe 50. You can't even get into the 20s.
I don't know about that much, but
you got to feel good about it, right?
And they were shut out in the first half.
Dude, they held KC under 20 last week.
Right, that was all-time weird game.
Yeah, but
all-time weird Thursday night football game.
They always are. The Bills this week, baby. Bills and Bucks on Thursday night this week. God help us all.
Let's get a weird one there. That's in Buffalo?
It's in Buffalo. God help us all.
Good. From a scores perspective, we should probably acknowledge Detroit losing by 32.
Yeah, let's do it.
Is this the, I don't want to say worst loss of the season, but is it the worst loss of the season for a team that's supposed to be competitive in a matchup of 2 competitive teams? Like, is this the biggest flop game?
No, you got to think Dallas against San Francisco might have something to say against that, right? They got slapped.
Joe, so did the Lions.
Yeah, I know they did. But here's the thing: like the impacts, the implications are bigger. It's a cross conference game. If there's one to lose for Detroit, this is a good one to lose. I don't want to make this about Detroit, right? Like a disappointing loss. I think they're going to be fine, right? In the long haul, they get to win that division. It's the Vikings, Bears in.
Oh, come on! Packers. Don't do my thought or nuts.
But no, I'm not going to do your thought. I want to break this about the Ravens. I want to give them their flowers, right?
Trey Flowers.
Well, maybe Zay Flowers, right?
Zay Flowers.
38-6 win, right? We're kind of wondering how good is Baltimore, right? Kind of skating by, a lot of miscues on offense. It came together. Lamar 21-27 for 357, 3 touchdowns. Added another rushing touchdown. He'll be your AFC Offensive Player of the Week. They're shut. That Detroit offense was humming, and Detroit limits them to 6 points, and they didn't even score to the fourth quarter. I mean, this is an you want to talk about just you have 500 yards of offense and 38 points. You limit Detroit to 6.
Baltimore averaged 9.1 yards per play.
The turnovers were even, Kyle. It wasn't like Baltimore just said, hey, we're here. We're 5-2. We're one of the best teams in the AFC. Put some respect on us. Here it is. Now, Kyle, you and I both talked in the pre-show about how teams are making a statement and then flopping. So here you go. Like, here's your moment. Keep it up.
Well, they're in Arizona next week. So that's It's encouraging.
Right.
And then they're home against the Seahawks, Browns, and Bengals in 3 consecutive weeks.
Going to keep humming along unless Pittsburgh can just find these weird wins over and over again. I don't think their process is good how they're winning games, but they're 4-2.
Is Pittsburgh the new Minnesota Vikings?
Maybe.
This weird cockroaches you can't kill.
Weird might be weirder.
I would say they are a weirder team. And look, Pittsburgh's next 3, home against Jacksonville, short week home against Tennessee, mini bye home against the Packers.
Now, Jacksonville gets the mini bye into that game, right?
Yes.
So that's helpful for them. And Trevor Lawrence, what was his quote on social media this week? You keep making excuses and we'll keep winning games or something. He put out a little passive aggressive tweet.
Great quote.
It's like, all right, buddy. Hear you. Do your thing. All right, we got some fun thought or not coming up here. I have some quarterback dynamics that I want to get into with Kyle Krabs. But something that you should get into is FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook, because right now they've got a crazy good deal for you. New customers can get $200 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place a $5 bet. That is $200 in bonus bets, win or lose. So if you've been thinking about joining FanDuel, this is the time. There's no better time to get in on the action. The app is so easy to use. There's a wide range of betting options, including spreads, player props. While the Bills did not win, I nailed 2 props. I had the over on Josh Allen touchdowns, and I also had the over on Dalton Kincaid receiving yards. So I won. I was a winner 2 for 2 there. They have over-unders and a whole lot more. Futures bets, a lot of fun stuff over at FanDuel. So visit FanDuel.com/lockedon and enjoy this NFL season. FanDuel, official partner of the NFL.
Okay. I'll cede first to you. Seems like you ready to roll.
All right.
Thought or not?
Thought or not? Here is my thought or not. My first one. It's involving the New York Football Giants. Tyrod Taylor gives this Giants team its best chance to win at quarterback.
With this iteration of the offensive line being what it is as well?
Yep.
I think you're probably right. Now, Daniel Jones can move around, but Daniel Jones moves around a little bit more of like a schemed approach, right? As compared to Taylor's a little bit more effective creating within the pocket.
Mm-hmm.
I think Daniel Jones is a get him outside the pocket on rollouts or quarterback design run. Taylor can quarterback design run, but he can also bail out his offensive line at a higher degree of success. So I agree with that.
I think the other really important layer there for me, and I consider myself somewhat of a guy who's very familiar with Tyrod Taylor. I've seen so much of him. I'm keenly aware of what he brings and what he doesn't bring. But his ability to make some plays as a runner, and of course he's got a really good deep ball, but also not turn over the ball, right? Like that's the thing about Tyrod Taylor, to like his benefit and to what will ultimately frustrate you. He will not turn over the ball. And Daniel Jones had a 4% interception rate, 6 interceptions in 5 games. Tyrod Taylor hasn't sniffed an interception so far in 2 games.
Yeah.
He takes care of the football. And we know that what's the stat that's the most correlative to winning and losing NFL is takeaways and giveaways, right? Tyrod's giving you such a better opportunity because he takes care of the football in addition to having that ability to make some dynamic plays. And so, yeah, I think with the way that this offense is constructed with the offensive line injuries, he does give them their best chance, which you can understand the context and why we're having this conversation. But when you're paying a quarterback what you're paying Daniel Jones, that we can't get to this point.
Yeah, and I'm sympathetic to a certain degree because the Giants drafted John Michael Schmitz, right, with an intention of him addressing their interior. And they had a couple of young guys in McKeithen and Izudu who they drafted in varying degrees in the previous season. And they had Evan Neal, who was top 10 pick. So I get, like, you had young players that you've invested in over the course of the last 2 seasons with this regime, the thought process was like, okay, well, like we invested in these guys, they got to play. But the offensive line's like an objective disaster. And I get Andrew Thomas missed as much time as he did with the hamstring, but it can't be that bad when you're paying Daniel Jones what you're paying him in front of Daniel Jones. So I think there's compounding variables that make that even more challenging to filter.
Well, yeah, because like if it was healthy, right? How good's this offensive line? We were concerned about it to begin with. It'd be better, but you kind of rolled the dice on
a lot of young players that you bet on, and drafted,
right?
So that again goes to 9-7-1, made the playoffs, won a playoff game, expectations versus reality of year 2 of taking over a very not good roster and trying to build a team. And there was always going to be this weird intersection of Daniel Jones and his contract that fell in the middle of that. I have another Giants thought.
Okay.
The New York Giants will not finish in last place in the NFC East.
That's interesting. Okay, so they will not. So that means you think it's Washington because we don't think it's Dallas or Philadelphia.
Correct.
Well, they have the head-to-head over Washington, and that helps them a ton. And they went. Well, no, that game was in New York.
Yep.
So they're 2-5.
You want to take the walk with me through the Commanders' bye?
Sure. They have 3 wins though, right? So that helps.
They're one win in front of the Giants right now. Yes.
Okay.
They host the Eagles in Week 8.
That's not great.
You got to go to the New England Patriots in Week 9. You got to go to the Seattle Seahawks in Week 10. You're home against the Giants. You got to go on a short week to Dallas to play the Cowboys, and then you host the Dolphins in Week 13.
Yeah, that's bad. And what do you think your most winnable game is New England? But you're going to Belichick. It's
right.
Sam Howell. Yeah, that's not good.
Right. So you got to go to New England, and then like you play the Giants head to head again in that stretch too. Like that you have to win that game. But like, I don't know. I think we've obviously seen Washington start 2-0, and the team that they've shown themselves to be, including losing at home and giving up 40 points to the Chicago Bears, and now losing to the Giants, who couldn't get anything going against anybody. I think that's who this football team is.
Listen, and I'll say it. I think they're asking too much of Sam Howell, Washington. They're asking too much. 42 passing attempts versus 19 rushing attempts in a game that was 14-7.
But they don't have the offensive line to block the Giants up front, which is part of the reason why I think the head-to-head matchup is just not good and I think they'll lose both games to New York.
I think you have a thought here. I would agree with this, but I just wanted to extend some criticism on I feel like they are not bringing Sam Howell along responsibly. Sacked 6 more times in this game.
I have a thought.
Okay.
The Chargers should sell. The deadline.
They're 2-5, aren't they?
They're 2-4.
2-4. What are these? So sell me on the chip. Is Khalil Mack? Like, what are we giving away?
Yeah, I think you got some older players that maybe could make some sense, and obviously there's a financial implication there. But the Chargers are going to have to do hoops this offseason anyway.
So you feel like there's just a lot of stale on this roster, and we know what they have to. We know what they're up against, right? We do. Well, you and I get this.
Yeah, I don't think there's going to be a head coaching change.
So you say go ahead and just deplete, get as much as you possibly can. Is it Tom Telesco we're rolling there? We're good?
I guess that's the challenge is Telesco. They're going to have to make a decision on if they want to keep Telesco or not in the midst of this too.
Time, man. Not that's not why you keep him, but I got to look and see. He got that job
He's been there a fair
2013. Bit. Well, I guess between I've given a lot of criticism for how the Chargers managed the back end of Phillip Rivers. So that into not necessarily being able to maximize what you have in Herbert, might be time for some fresh perspective in LA.
The big one is they only have one more game before the trade deadline, but then they got to go to the Jets and play the Jets on Monday Night Football, the first game after the trade deadline. So they got Chicago on Sunday at home. They're probably going to win that game. Mm-hmm. Then you get 3-4, but then you got to play the Jets, tough defense. You got to play the Lions. You're going to face the Ravens. You got to go to New England. You got to play the Bills. You got to play the Chiefs again.
That doesn't look good.
It's just a deep hole that, man, you're really going to have to flip a switch. And I just haven't seen enough that you've already lost to Tennessee. That one hurt. That one hurt a lot. It was an overtime when you got the ball in overtime. Every chance to go down and win the game. So
I'm good.
You got one more?
I was going to be about Tyson Bagent. It was going to be because we always lean into the thoughts. So I was going to give you, okay, Tyson Bagent gives the Chicago Bears their best chance to win, but you could see,
to be determined. To be determined.
Ooh, you didn't say definitely not. So.
Well, no, you need more than 29 pass attempts. But
right,
the thought process is ball security, right? And just Justin Fields has had some struggles with that throughout the course of this season.
Also, the Raiders, who were playing Brian Hoyer / Aiden O'Connell. But
disaster.
Defensively, we thought like they had some life here of late.
That's another team that should definitively sell.
And they're not selling Devontae Adams. They've come out and said it. Or
Josh Jacobs.
Translation, we're not getting offers that we like for Devontae
right.
Adams.
Well, you're just going to keep Josh Jacobs on the tag and then pay him with the state of the roster. Okay. Yep, that's going to do it for us here on this episode of Locked On NFL Scouting. I'm Kyle Krabs. He is Joe Marino. We appreciate you guys checking out the show. Find us on YouTube or wherever you listen to your favorite podcast. Make it a great rest of your Monday, and we will be back again tomorrow to get into the trade deadline a little bit, I believe, is our plans throughout the course of this week. Now, maybe we'll do AFC trade deadline discussion and NFC trade deadline discussion, since we usually do AFC and NFC on Tuesday and Wednesday, respectively. Who knows? You're just going to have to come back and find out for yourselves, but we are out of here. Peace.